Okay, so I want to continue to talk about how we can improve our overall financial position when we're going through such trying economic times. I do believe that we are already in a recession and going further into what might be a depression in our country. And I would like to do that by focusing on the big three: transportation, food, and housing. The big three, those three categories make up the bulk of our overall monthly expenses. For those of you who are new here, my name is Dr. Pia, also known as the Property PhD. I had a 30-year plus career in finance, focusing on investing in stocks and real estate. And I have been retired since the age of 52 by choice. I would like to focus on the biggest category of expense most of us have, and that is our housing expense. House hacking has been a way for real estate investors to get their foot in the door, to get their feet wet, if you will, in terms of starting out in investing in real estate. But it can also be very beneficial for those of you who may be struggling to get by. Either you've been recently laid off or you're just not making enough money to cover your expenses comfortably. Now, obviously, if you're in a position to change your living situation, move to a less expensive environment, or move in with family and friends, that's obviously going to be number one advice if you can do that. But let's just say you're stuck in a lease or in a situation where you are struggling to pay your mortgage. Number one thing to do is, if you can, to house hack. This tends to be easier for people who are single with no kids, or maybe your kids are already out of the house. That is to rent out a room in your house. If you don't feel comfortable renting out a room in your house to a stranger, get a friend to move in. More and more people are having to share their living space in order to make ends meet. And this doesn't have to be a permanent situation. It can be temporary, just until you get your feet back on the ground. I have a really good friend and past client that I was mentoring who basically house hacked, paid for her whole entire mortgage in California with renters by renting out rooms in her home, so that the money that she would have been paying for mortgage, she was able to set aside and invest in expanding her home, eventually creating an ADU, additional dwelling unit, that she also rented out for a profit. But even if you're just splitting the expenses in half, that's going to help you to improve your financial situation immediately. If you're not comfortable with the long-term live-in rental, you can also consider shorter-term rentals such as Airbnb and VRBO, if that would work in your area, or potentially renting out your space by the hour. There are websites such as Peerspace and Gigster where people will pay to have meetings, get-togethers, photo shoots, to shoot videos, TV shows, and documentaries in your space, and they will pay you by the hour. We were renting one of our spaces out in Vegas hourly. A lot of people like to use the backyard pool area. We would have a minimum, a 4-hour minimum, so that we can make sure that it was worth our while. Lastly, don't forget your energy and your utility bills. If you can decrease the price, especially if you're in like a cold weather climate, the cost of energy is going up, as you all know. So like our power bill for our place in Ohio went from $200 to $1,000 in 1 month. That was because of the rising costs of oil and energy and everything like that. But even just reducing your thermostat by 1 or 2 degrees, that's going to make a huge impact in your overall utility bill. And make sure you challenge them. If they say that they're doing an estimated read, make sure you ask them to do an actual meter read. That will also potentially help you to lower your overall costs. The next video I will do is the rent versus buy decision for those who are in that place. Also, I can talk about whether it makes sense for you to get started investing in real estate, how you would go about doing that as well to improve your overall financial wealth.